and I knew that I was frustrated, and I knew that I was going to come, and I was going to break bones, like I've been saying. But I weren't shocked, no, because I knew as soon as I landed, or I got excited, that the fight would be over. So I'm not shocked at all with the result in 2 rounds.
You're not really worried just when you wait and break it up, you get in there. Did you notice throughout the whole build-up that
People, take things differently. Sometimes it works against them, sometimes it works for them. I didn't really, think he looked scared or anything else, because, if anyone stood across looking at me, they're gonna be worried. They're gonna be worried because I'm gonna hit you with bad intentions. So that's all I can say on that one.
There seems to be a spitefulness about you to me.
No, I think I'm a nice kid. No, I think it's just been a long time. I've missed a lot of things, and I just wanted to get in there. I did want to go more rounds, but it's been a long time, and I got flowing. I caught him with a nice shot, and he can continue. So maybe that spitefulness is there.
Physically, you kind of look better than you've ever looked, and is it getting easier in a sense, even though you want to move up eventually?
It's never either. I think maybe I'm becoming more professional about, and I know what needs to be done to get to the level. And I think being in camp for so long, he's gonna put me in fantastic, condition, which I'm in. I could have gone forever. So, I had a long camp with the injury with the Chevelle, obviously. Needed to fight BIZIER tonight, be mandatory, and I got the job done.
John, how you've worked with several world champions. How does KELL now compare? He's starting to become a seasoned world champion. How does he compare with Nelson and Hamed and all these other guys that you've had in the gym?
If I'm being really honest, and I'm not saying that this because I'm sat here, he's probably the best out of the lot. I think Naz was good, entertaining, but I spent a bit of time training Naz. Naz had power. I think KELL's actually a better boxer. He's got a bit of variety of shots than Naz. I think sometimes Naz, he knew he could take guys out. There were times when he did, exhibit boxing skills, but towards the middle of his career, when he was defending his title, he was using a lot more power and neglecting the skill aspect of it. And I think that showed when he boxed Barrera. But obviously, KELL's been in the gym a long time, and I've seen him develop from the 10-year-old kid into a world champion. And he's coming up for 30 now, and he's probably hitting his peak. He's maybe another 2 to 3 years where he needs to get in the big fights. So. And I keep saying it, he's never been in a position where we've had to see the best of him. He got rid of BIZIER today in 2 rounds, and that's what he had to do. These guys can't go more than 2 rounds or 4 rounds like the Jojo Dans. It's mandatory, get rid of them quick, and then get into the big fights. And I think we're only going to see the best fights against the best kids, because he's going to have to pull something out of the bag. And he's well capable of doing that, but when he sees an opportunity to take those guys out, he's not going to stand back and box for 12 rounds. So, if I'm being honest, I'd say he's the best.
Who would you want to fight next time?
Anyone who weighs 147 pounds, or even 154, I'll fight any of them fighters who are out there. Any fighter.
If you sign any of the big fight, you have to choose from a level who would be the candidate.
What main guys at 147? You know who the main guys are. The Garcias, Porter Thurman, Pacquiao Bradley. Jesse Vargas has just won a world title. I want to unify the division. There's no one who can touch me at 147. I'll clean up, and that's what I just need, them fights, and I'll show everyone that I can do that.
Is there a logical? KELL said, you both said on Thursday that, and kind of midsummer fight is what you're looking at.
Yeah, July
fight.
Yeah.
Is it Vargas? Are you looking at Vargas, or will you look at Garcia? Both have been quite prominent in your mind.
I think because of how difficult he is, because of how good he is, I don't think we're going to get multiple choices. I think it's going to be one of all the names we mentioned. You know, I don't think it's going to be Vargas or Garcia or Bradley to choose from. I think any one of those we have to grab immediately, because what happens is everybody in boxing knows how good Kell Brook is. Like Carl Froch just came up to me on the corridor and went, "Ed, you have to get him a big fight." He said he's unbelievable. You know,
Froch believes he can be number one pound for pound
yeah,
in the world.
but he can. But we've been hampered by bad luck, injury, little bit of ill discipline over the years, but that's not a problem anymore. Now we've cleaned the slate with our mandatories. We have 12 months where we won't have to fight a poxy mandatory again. You know, believe it or not, we want to fight big fights. That was a tough sell for me tonight, promoter, and I want to thank people of Sheffield, because there was over 7,000 people in here and the atmosphere was unbelievable, and the fight was average in terms of the billing, but we had to do it. He wasn't going to give us up. People don't want to fight Kell Brook. They certainly won't fight him if he hasn't got one of them. So we can't possibly give it up. I have always liked the Tim Bradley fight. You know, I think he beats Pacquiao on April 9th, to be honest with you. But Vargas for the WBO and IBF is a fight that I think can come here. If we have to go to America, we'll do it. But I
So
still.
smash and grab raid time on America.
He's done that
for you
before.
guys now.
He smashed and grabbed. We smashed and grabbed in Carson. We went over there. No one thought he'd beat Sean Porter. He turned up. We nicked the belt. He said, "Thank you very much." We went home again. But since then, he's boxed Jojo Dan, Frankie Gavin, and Kevin Bizier, and those aren't the names of the people of the levels that he can be beaten. He's had bad luck. Many wouldn't be standing here or sitting here today. Promise you that, for being through what he's been through. But he's so good, so good. He punches so hard. About 2 minutes into that first round, Bizier was coming forward like this. I said, "The uppercut's there, Kell." He threw it about 3 seconds later. That was a shot, would have knocked most. Yeah, and it's not just, forget Bizier, it's what he did to him. I don't believe Danny Garcia, Vargas, these kind of guys would have done that to Bizier. I know they would have beaten him, but they wouldn't have torn him to pieces like that. He didn't know where he was. I mean, he was in tatters. But there's no point us sitting here saying he's the best welterweight in the world, he's the best pound for pound fighter in Britain. We've got to go and prove it.
But have you got to go there to do it?
Possibly, we'll do it. Whatever's the right move, we'll sit down with Kell and Terry and Dom, and whatever is the right move, we will do.
Are you not bothered at all about going over there to defend the title or win the other ones then?
Like Eddie said, I've been over to America. If we had to go over, we'd have to go over. I want them fights for your guys. I want them big fights. What brings the best out in me? So in this sport, I want to challenge myself to, the best fights and see really how many gear I can go.
It's a bit like putting your best work in, your best journalism for 50 quid a week. It's not going to motivate you, is it? And it's like with Kell, he has to do 12 week, well, a bit more. He has to do 12 week camps for these guys, and he's got to do it, because if he does a 6 week camp, he's going to come unstuck or he's going to look rubbish. So he's having to put the work in, you understand, to get these guys out of the way quick. When you've got an opponent in front of you who's a big guy, a big opponent, a big name, the training is so much easier because you know what's coming at the end of the camp, and you've got a challenge. So you don't, you get up for the fight even more. And that's when you get the best out of Kell Brook.
I think that the old Kell Brook wouldn't have trained like he did in that camp for Kevin Bizier.
No, probably not. Probably not.
Because he didn't have to train like that, but he did, and that's discipline. And
How
that's,
does the conversation go when you're trying to make these big fights?
well, no one fancies fighting Kell Brook.
Is that the message you get back?
I know, because we've had it all along. That's why we have to fight the Biziers, to make sure we keep this belt. So luckily, we've got the backing of Sky. He can box on pay-per-view. We can get the pot to bring him over. But it's still difficult. Danny Garcia, I don't believe will travel. Bradley, I believe will travel. Vargas, I believe will travel. Thurman Porter, no, I don't believe they'll travel. I'd love him to fight Danny Garcia. He'd smash Danny Garcia. But he won't. We'd have to do that in America. Fine. Listen, if Amir loses well to Canelo, I'm sure we'll make that fight at the end of the year. But really, we're talking October, November. We want July. We want a big one in July at Bramall Lane, if possible. We've had massive support from the club. They're right behind him. I'd love to do it there. But again, we're realistic to know if we have to travel, we will. But it's my job to put all the options in front of Kell and Terry and say, you've got to choose what you want to do. And, it has to be a big fight because we're all under pressure, especially me. Everyone wants it. It's my job to deliver it. But I love it.
Have you had talks with Bradley speaking?
Yeah, a lot. He nearly fought Bradley when he was IBF mandatory. Bradley offered him the fight with options and a tiny purse, but we were already IBF mandatory. Bradley will come. It's even like Brandon Rios. You know, like when we were talking about that fight, he just started pricing himself out of the fight. And he told me, the team said they knew they were going to take a Tonkin. So they'd rather go and fight Bradley. I mean, like, they'd rather fight Bradley for less money than fight KELL BROOK.
And Bradley's been here, of course, obviously won the WBC belt here against Junior 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
It's a great fight. I mean, if he beats Pacquiao, it's a huge fight. But even if he loses a good fight to Pacquiao, it's still a huge fight. I'd love the Vargas fight as well. I'd love him to get another belt. You know, if he has to go to 154 pound, that's something that I'd present to the team as well. HBO wanted us to fight Cotto. Cotto looked at it with Freddie Roach and went, "We're all right, thank you, for now. Maybe later in the year." Don't blame him. You know, and I know we mentioned Golovkin's name, and you know, you get the weight right, you never know. That's the biggest money fight out there for him. He's got the style to beat him. But it's irrelevant us sitting here saying he'll beat him. We've got to actually prove it, and the only way we prove it is to get the fight. But like I said to him, when the Khan fight fell through, and he was gutted, I said, "Remember, you're world champion. We're not sitting at number 3 or 4 in the rankings trying to find a big fight. So we're all right, but we've got to deliver."
Phil, do you think you can stay at welterweight, or how long do you think you can stay at welterweight? Do you think your knees had to move up in weight sooner rather than later?
I will move up. Maybe three more fights, maybe 4. Just depends what names get presented to me. But we don't know how his body's going to change over time, putting muscle on it. It is hard making the weight, but you know, we made it quite comfortable. Obviously, we've been in camp for a long time for this fight, so there's still unfinished business at 147 before we, you know, move up and stay up.
So is the goal really to unify slices?
Yeah. I want to get some good scalps on.
It's so hard to unify and stay unified these days. You know, you saw it with Tyson. You know, if he beats Vargas, he'll have probably a WBO mandatory, and if he wins that, he might have an. I mean, it's really difficult, but it's the fight. You know, it's great to win.